That ain't going nowhere. All right, we got Topsy loaded up. We're taking her to the big show here with Pepper. Ready to go, buddy. Ready to go. Here we go, man.
We are at the opening of Investors Day. We got Topsy parked up on the hill. Anyone that drives by is going to see him. So last night there to get the truck into the shop, we had to take off the mirrors. And now Chace this morning is just adding some finishing touches, getting the mirrors back on.
Well, today is Customer Appreciation Day at OmniFlex. What a gorgeous day. And we are showcasing the brand new heavy-duty hybrid electric vocational truck. This is Canadian made, 18 months in the making, and the team here is honestly so proud to showcase it today. I was up in that bad boy. I felt like a badass. It's awesome. We're from Dave Rocks, and we're just so happy to be here and help promote. We also have some free beer too.
There's giveaways that you can enter. There's snacks. There's food trucks. Amazing food trucks. Might I add, Big Jerk? I think it is what it's called.
It is.
Big Jerk.
Kevin from Big
Yeah.
Jerk.
Yeah.
I'm live on location here at OmniFlex in Cambridge, and I'm joined by Nigel, who really just wears a lot of hats here. Nigel, what can you tell me about this big day today?
Yeah, no, today we're here with Edison Motors and FloDraulic and OmniFlex, of course. Just here supporting Edison as they have unveiled their hybrid electric logging truck out in British Columbia a few weeks ago. And now we're demonstrating that to some of our customers and friends here in Ontario.
Now, I'm looking at this truck right now, and it's not often you hear environmentally friendly and truck in the same sentence. What can you tell me about that?
Well, I'd love to just, share that this is not just an environmentally friendly truck. This is an environmentally friendly work truck, which is kind of unheard of in the industry now. So we're taking decarbonization and a more environmentally friendly approach to the hardest working trucks that are out there in the market right now. Yeah.
Well, I highly recommend coming on out and checking it out. Nigel, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Jesse David, live on location at OmniFlex in Cambridge for 107.5 Dave Rocks.
And who are you?
Rich Dockery.
And what's your position with FloDraulic?
I'm the president of FloDraulic.
And you just signed Topsy. Very well, rightfully so.
Which I think is an aptly named product.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Yeah, today was a great success. We had so much fun out here displaying Topsy, and might get a few sales here, so pretty stoked. Later.
Okay, I'm here with Mike Fritz, who's a branch manager of OmniFlex, and we're going through over certain things, and we want to show off how do we go from a one-off truck to a production truck. And part of that is scaling up the production to the point where you can get pre-assembled kits that when we build trucks, we can focus on production. We're not cutting every single hose. This is a great example. OmniFlex here does hoses. So rather than cutting every single hose, these hose kits will be pre-made, sent to us, and then our technicians, all they have to do is grab the hose and install it. So let's have a look and show you what a pre-made kit kind of looks like so you get an example for when we build our trucks and go into production. Okay, so kind of what we got here is like there's a ton of hoses on these trucks. We got hoses for coolant lines, we got high voltage wrap, and then we got airline hoses. We know roughly what the lengths are going to be. We know the same thing. So what do we do here for so that I don't have to make every single one?
Basically what we do, we would measure every hose, get the hose length, account for the fittings to go on the hoses. We would part number the hoses with a description of everything that's on the hose with the length. And we could actually, if you want, have on the tag where it's going to go on the machine to help with installation.
You can put tags on that literally say where it's going to go.
Where it's going to go.
How does that work?
We just write it once we put it into our system. It'll come out on the label. It'll tell you it's going to go from this place to this place, wherever it is on your machine. And that's how your installers do it. Sometimes we'll even color code the hoses at the end so your installers know where to install it as well.
So basically we go through the truck, figure out everything that's on here. Like I have this much number 6 line, this much number 8 line, this many lengths.
We would create a bill of material and we could break it down into as many sub-kits as you wanted. So if you wanted certain hoses in a sub kit. It would come in boxed as a sub kit, so the installer could do that right away, and then you could have another box for somewhere else on the truck.
Okay, sub kit. Oh, so like we can put the cab on it kit. Like a cab can be a sub kit.
It would have
and
its
like,
own sub kit, yeah.
the horn's going to be in the same place on every single truck. So
right.
you know every truck is going to have this hose, but some trucks might have a fifth wheel with a slide or not, and that sliding fifth wheel hose would be a sub kit. Fifth wheel slide.
Yeah.
Truck with airbag suspension, that's a kit.
And you can mix and match the sub kits. Just we put it into our system, so if one truck had a different sub kit for whatever reason, you would just order that sub kit and it would come in for that truck.
Okay.
100%.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a look at some of the kits.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Mike was telling me about these kits, and this is kind of how they do them. So these guys make all the hoses for like Tiger Cat equipment. So say these are for Tiger Cat. Every one is broken down into a workstation at the thing. So each peg is at a workstation. So I'm working at station 1. This kit arrives pre-ready to go with station 1. That guy takes it off, walks it over to the machine.
Walks over to the machine. And like I say, when we talked about custom kits, we can put any kind of wrap on it you'd like. We can stop it. If you have to clamp somewhere, and then we would continue the wrap on after where you would recommend the clamp would be. So we can like wrap 20 inches, leave enough room for you to clamp, then start wrapping again.
Wait, you literally go to the point where you're like, oh, I want it wrapped and protected to there, not to there.
Absolutely.
Like, that's pretty detailed.
Absolutely. That's just so the customer doesn't have to roll it back and they know it's going to clamp exactly where it's going to clamp.
Holy.
Again, I talked about the coloring of the labels. Sometimes customers want a little bit of tape there as they're installing. So their installers, if it's a longer hose, know how to match it up. We do that as well.
Oh.
Yeah, so everything's broken down. And when we assemble the hose, we track everything as far as who cuts the hose, who assembles the hose, who blows the hose out, and does all the stages. When we crimp the hose, for safety reasons, one person will spec one end, someone else will spec the other end at the end of the run, just to make sure we didn't miss a crimp spec, so it stays on properly.
Oh.
It won't blow off. They will mark it with a cross so it doesn't go out the door uncrimped. So you never have to worry about hooking something up that's going to blow on a machine.
I've definitely never had that happen.
So there's a lot of steps involved.
I feel like you need to then splice in the video of me doing exactly that onto this video, because I did that and forgot to put a crimp, plug the line off.
Oh, really?
Oh,
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do. We're ISO, so we have to follow so many procedures. And then, obviously, we have about 7 or 8 pages of procedures to make hoses.
Oh,
so they go out the door correct. So, like I said, the labels we talked about earlier, you'll have your part number, the description of the hose and fittings, the kit number, and all that, and then they'll have something like whatever they want on their black wrap. It'll have all the details. The purchase order will be on there, our order number. We scan all our documents into our system, so if you say, hey, there was a problem with the hose, we would pull up that PO, know exactly what happened, and send you a new one out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Holy.
So.
But this is 100% how professional manufacturers have to do it, right?
Absolutely. Because this will go down the line with the equipment, and it's just a smooth process all the way down.
I mean, we don't have a line, but I imagine you could put it in a box where it can kind of come out in the order put it in each kit into different box
We
formats?
do some accounts that have a cab area, they call it boom area, an initial assembly area, so it's just a box going to different areas. This is another form of kitting that this customer would like. They just want it in a simple box, and they will order like 10 or 15 at a time, and they'll keep them in their shop. Each thing's separate for a machine.
Well, that's what we want. When we do like the next 5 trucks we're doing, just put one kit for each truck. We'll put it on the shop, and when we get to one area of the truck, we want to just grab it.
A lot of customers still do that. Wherever they want to put on their line, they want to be able to take the box and go to a workstation, 100%.
So do you just send these guys like the whole thing right like this, and then they just send it back to you empty and say refill it?
Absolutely. We got racks down there. We got different styled racks that we get supplied by customers, just depending how they want it. Everything's custom. Whatever you want, we'll make it happen.
So how long, say, when I place an order, how long does it take to actually like say, hey, this is the truck, these are the hoses, we figured out what the hose. How long does it take you to make a thing for a truck? Like, what's the lead time?
We really would like 10 business days.
10 days.
We are usually 2 days ahead of our build schedule. So that allows us flexibility that if a customer calls up and says, hey, we need to order this option kit, we didn't know about it, we allow 20 hours a day in our production schedule to do rush orders.
Okay, well that's not bad, because I mean the frame rails take 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks to get
Yep.
the frame rails. So if you're 10 days, then like, hey, I've ordered the frame rails a week ago. It's time to get the hoses here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not bad.
And we leave a window for rushes, so if something falls through the cracks, we can get it out pretty quickly.
Now, one of the things is going to be cost on these because now all the hoses are made and custom done. But compared to buying the kits, I mean, we don't know what the kit's going to be, so we don't have an exact cost to compare. But time-wise is, on the last truck, it took me about 4 or 5 days. Me and another guy took 4 or 5 days. Now, paying somebody, that's $35 an hour, 8 hours a day for 4 or 5 days, because we had to cut the line, put the fitting on, wrench the fitting in, run the fitting over to the truck, put it on there. That's roughly like $1,200 in labor cost. I imagine.
Depends on the kit, honestly, and how much is involved on the pricing. Whether there's a lot of wrapping, if there's longer hoses, bigger OD hoses, it depends on that. Or if we're doing multiple kits at one time, that helps as well.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, right now, it's like, I imagine the hoses, like, right now, we've been buying them like retail from Peterbilt.
Yeah.
Which is probably more expensive than
Right.
bulk.
Yeah.
Really, it's the labor cost. Like, I got to pay a guy that's not experienced. Like, you got a fancy like hose wrapping machine. Like, you guys have actual like production efficiency compared to a heavy duty mechanic that has to.
Right, and when everything's done, it's going to be easier for you guys. But I know what you're saying. When you're there, you're chopping a hose, you're crimping it, you're trying to wrap a hose, you're doing it by hand, not by a machine. A lot of variables involved for sure.
It's one of those things that, like, we talk about, is like, there's an issue with labor, especially being in a small town in Merritt. We can only hire so many mechanics. So if it takes our mechanic 4 or 5 days to put all the hoses together for the truck, compared to bringing it down to like 4 or 5 hours, that's 4 or 5 days of production that we can't focus on the truck build. So if we start getting things pre-made, and they can take advantage of like basic production cost, economies of scale here, where the cost isn't going to be that much more, and you compare it to the labor cost of us doing every single thing by hand, cutting the holes with an angle grinder, grabbing the weatherhead fitting, wrenching it together, putting it on there, taking another measurement, where compared to if things are just pre-measured, delivered to our factory, grab the wrench, put it in there, tighten it up, connect it where it needs to go, and then move on to the next job. That is such an advantage in production that the labor cost pays for the price of the kit, and we're 5 days closer to building the next truck. And if we got to do 5 trucks, like, we get to production where we want to be at like 10, 20, 30 trucks a month, that means that we got to be rolling a truck out of the shop every week.
Right.
Saving 4 or 5 days on a truck build means that that truck is now 1 week closer.
Especially when you let us who've been doing this for a long time build the hoses. We'll get them out fast. You know they're going to be built properly.
They're not going to blow up in my
They're not
face.
going to blow up. We're ISO. We have to follow so many procedures to build a proper hose. We're the best in the industry. I feel that 100%. No, I think we could probably build kits pretty fast. And like you said, that way your mechanics are right away being productive, doing what they do best. Let us do what we do best, and then that's how we can move forward.
Exactly. Like, there's a reason that like Tiger Cat and that isn't making every single hose in their shop.
We do all their stuff, pretty much.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. We're gonna be using the same manufacturer for our hoses as Tiger Cat, and I'm like, they have the best forestry equipment, so I'm stoked on that, because like right there, you know it's gonna be quality.
That's what we live by here, quality. We take pride in that, 100%.
I didn't even know this existed. I'll be honest. Like, I figured there must be something, but like, this is an entire business just dedicated to making hoses for places that do manufacturing. Like, that's a business that just exists. That, like, it's so cool when you come out to Ontario and you're able to see these things. Like, being in Merritt, I had no idea. Like, I thought you had to just make all your hoses, and the companies would like Tiger Cat would just have a place that would like, oh, we have a dedicated hose guy that makes the hose. Like, no, there's dedicated businesses to support manufacturers. It's cool.
20,000 hoses a month is what we spit out here.
20,000?
20,000 hoses a month.
Holy, yeah, there's some economies of scale there then, for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, we got about $2.5 million in inventory, so we always make sure we have product here to ship.
So you got air brake hose then?
We got everything. Air brake. Yeah.
We just have like the most simple common hose we need. They're like, ah, sorry, we don't have it.
Oh, like I just need like mainly 90% of our hose is number 6 line.
Yep.
And you go into like Kenworth. And they're, oh, we don't have number 6 line. Okay, now I got to go to Peterbilt. Oh, well, we got 20 feet of it. I need 30 feet of it. Now I got to go to CBS. Oh, well, we got, okay, well, now I'm going to have to splice it. Like, I made 3 stops all across town and had to pay a mechanic to stop by 4 different businesses. And then, oh, well, we got 6 fittings. Well, we got 10 fittings. And you're like, this isn't a way to build a whole truck.
I carry a lot of different styles of -6 hose, but I can tell you, like, one part number right now, I got 40,000 feet sitting here just of one -6 size.
You got
40,000 feet of it. So basically they're working on a kit right now. And like I was explaining to you earlier, hose cut by, who blew the hose out, who assembled it, who marked the sockets, who crimped it. We're signing off on every single hose. They have to QA this hose before it gets crimped. And then when they call this kit off at the end, somebody else has to call it off and double check the tag to the hose to the configuration. So it's actually getting 2 QAs. Take great pride in it. And like I said, we'll custom wrap. If you want only a little bit of the hose, we'll custom wrap on it.
That's nice. Like we can get it all wrapped where it needs to be wrapped. So like for the wear things. For
And this wrap here is OmniWrap. We manufacture that as well.
Oh, no way.
That's our own product.
Cool.
Yeah, so we manufacture all the way up to 6 inch.
It's a big ass hose.
Yeah. And again, little things we do. The L on this hose, just this is the last end crimped. So that means it would have to be spec'd by another assembler. If it has an F, it was the first end crimped. Another assembler has to check that. Reason that is, we don't want the person that checked the first crimp checking the last and saying, I got it right the first time.
Oh.
So we got to make sure someone else lays their eyes on the hose, and that's how we make sure. And then they put that white line there is basically to make sure it's pushed on, and this line is to make sure it's crimped. They check that off to make sure nothing goes out the door uncrimped.
Okay, so you put that line on, that makes sure that, hey, yeah, I've shoved it onto the right spot, and then you put
to make
that
sure it's
line
crimped at the very end.
Oh,
and we move up to higher pressures. There'll be green lines because we clean check these, and then we look through the hose. We inspect the hose for cleanliness, any imperfections. We do all that as well before this high stat hose goes out the door. Yeah, we blow everything out. When we do our automated machine, it gets blown out right away, and then it gets blown out again on the bench. And our guys will do a clean check on our paperwork. Clean check, they'll sign off that the hose is clean. They'll do a fitting inspection to make sure the fittings have the right O-ring in them. Everything's set for you. And then the white marker is checked off that they crimped the hose properly. It goes through a lot of steps to get out the door.
Yeah, we need to put in this kind of double checking. Like, have a look. This is what a check sheet looks like. Everything, you can see everything being checked off.
Yep, right here. We have to sign off on a clean check, a fitting inspection, and then a white marker that's been crimped properly.
Yeah, and you can see different people signing off. That's
the only way you can guarantee it's going to go out the door almost perfect every time. Our air rate's so low, it's unbelievable. We've had people come in and they're like, they couldn't even believe what we're doing to make a product for them. They just don't understand all these steps. They think, oh, we're making a hose, which is great. But we know when we do this kind of a kit for a customer, you don't want a hose to come in wrong. You're on the time. You're right. You don't want it to blow off in the field when you give it to a customer because that's your image and our image.
Yeah, I don't got to smacked in the nuts.
We got to make sure that everything's out the door right all the time.
See, and this is what we want to, like, this is where we want to get to, like, ourselves.
Yeah.
So, like, being able to see this kind of stuff and, like, quality checks and...
One other thing about being ISO, I should be able to come down the bench at any time and know what stage they're at. These yellow marks here are for that the hose has been blown out. And these ones will get a foam pellet shot through them, and it collects all the dirt. It's like a big marshmallow, and it goes through this hose, and we keep shooting it through until that hose is spotless inside.
Until the pellet comes out clean?
It comes out clean. It's crazy, right?
Jeez.
Again, little things like this. There's your first crimp.
Yeah.
Right? So they'll have the first one on there so we know which one was first. But these bigger hoses, we have to hold them up to the light. Guys will carry flashlights.
Yeah.
And we'll inspect them.
See, this is where it's worth it. Like, it might be a few more bucks to get it done, like, compared to just buying the hose. This is going to be more expensive than just buying a hose and a fitting. But, man, the labor time to do everything on this and, like, to get this kind of quality where things are being double-checked and triple-checked instead of one guy that's in a hurry and like, hey, yeah, you got to finish this job. We got to get you onto the next job because now you're doing headlights.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
We'll get the airlines in so we can start on the tail lights. And like, okay, well, then like that's how we missing things. And I'll admit it myself. I miss things. I miss tightening the hose on. Actually, I think it was tightening the hose. I didn't tighten one of the holes on. I put it on by hand, and then I got distracted. I moved off to the next job, and like a day or two later, we were doing the holes, and the holes blew off.
1, 2, 3, 4. Woo. That one needs work.
Yeah, that's never good, eh?
Well, his friend, he was on video because they were like, "We got an air leak." I'm like, "Where the heck is the air leak?" I'm like, "I think it's coming from this fitting." As soon as I touched it, it was enough that it blew off.
Put into our CompuTech gun that can go through the hose. There's different pellets for different sizes, but he'll just...
Oh, look, there's it coming out. Every single hose gets cleaned out like that. That's cool.
And you can look through that one again if you want.
See, I'll hold it up to the light, see if you can get the camera in there. Have a look at the clean hose, and then show you a dirty one. You can see all the little flakes and grains. And
He's got this machine here, and he's got a wrapping tool. He's taking the wrap and running it down this machine. It's like almost like, what do you call it, a loomer, but not as a wrapper, I guess?
I've done this before on all my logging trucks. Like the reach on the logging truck gets this done, and I cannot tell you how many hours of people work. This is like, you get the fingers and you gotta wrap it, and you like wrap it, and you got the slack, and then you gotta untangle the slack, and then you gotta wrap it, and like, by the time it took us to take this little set, it was already done.
This is your basic 3/4 inch JIC fitting. There's 60 in a box, and it's the top shelf, this shelf, this shelf, this shelf, this shelf. That's where it stops. There might be 3,000 or 4,000 just in this one style of fitting. Before you guys leave, I can show you what a hose looks like crimped. I got a cutaway if you want to see how it bites into the hose. I got one up in the boardroom.
Okay, here's what the inside of a crimped on hose looks like. See how it squishes all those wires? Like, that thing ain't going anywhere. That's cool.
This whole aisle is dedicated to metric fittings. We have probably one of the biggest selection of metric fittings in Ontario, and this is all the weird stuff that people will come into our counter and say, "Hey, can we get this hose made?" Absolutely. It's just all metric.
So there we go. Like, that's how you be a manufacturer, a professional manufacturer. That's how we take this from a one-off build where it takes 4 or 5 days to make airlines down to 4 or 5 hours, so we can start working on production slowly and start slowly scaling that up with kits. And that's kind of cool to see how much effort goes into something as simple as hoses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ah, thanks, Mike.
Hey, no problem.
I can't wait to see the kit.
Oh man, I can't wait to build it. How's that sound, eh? Yeah.
Oh, we're already working on the next 5 trucks.